What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham Jason Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. And today we're talking the latest episode of WWE Chronicle on Bianca Belair. Now, every episode of Chronicle is great, this one being no exception. The show was so good that they did a Lana episode a few months ago, and I give no shits about Lana, but I thought it was a pretty good episode. This Bianca one, though, hits differently. Just because Chronicle usually is about taking place from this point to this point, chronicling that person's journey from, one moment to the next, whatever. And a lot of time, maybe not all the time, but there are some episodes that do deep dives into personal issues that person battled that we don't know about, and that is exactly what this episode does. Not that every episode has to have that, but it just adds a different layer where you feel like you can relate to that person. In Bianca's case, she talks a lot openly about having depression when she was growing up and battling bulimia, among other stuff, which I never knew. I'm not even really sure if that was public knowledge before she talked about it here in the documentary. But that's just one example of certain things that Bianca talks about that really make you resonate with her on a different level, aside from just liking her as a superstar, as a wrestler, whatever. And she is very, very good. But in learning more about Bianca here, it made me want to see her succeed that much more. And I already did want to see her succeed because, again, she's really, really good. But this Chronicle was really, really well done. So the first thing that she says when the Chronicle opens is that she feels that you should never stop driving to be the best version of yourself, no matter how old you are. And she personally wants to tap in every talent that God has given her. And she doesn't want to be placed into a box, whether it be a stereotype or whatever. She doesn't want to be who other people think that she is or be what people want her to be. She's going to be the best version of herself and be who she wants to be. And she wants to explore every piece of who she is. So the Chronicle takes place from December 18th to January 16th. I think January 18th was when the first Bayley match happened, which they do cover later on, but just to kind of give some context as to where this begins. Although they go all the way back to when she was born. They started filming in terms of, when this takes place, when she's giving her comments. But they go all the way back to when she was born in 1989 in Knoxville. They also show her first NXT live event promo. She shows off her notes that she had when she cut that promo way back when in 2015. I know she's been with the company for a while before she debuted on NXT TV in late 2017, early 2018. I didn't know that she was in NXT as far back as 2015. That's wild. And that was where the EST came from. She talked about being the EST of WWE all the way back then in her first live event promo. And that was 6 years ago, which is crazy. So, again, she was born in Knoxville in 1989. She has 3 brothers and 1 sister. One of the brothers, I guess one of her older brothers, played football. And she kind of followed in his footsteps in terms of, playing sports and being active and whatnot, because she was always an active child. So she started doing track at the age of 5. She earned a scholarship to North Carolina soon after. Not soon after turning 5, but I messed up my notes there. I put that right after the track thing, and it sounds like, oh yeah, she did track at 5, and then she got a scholarship at 8. No, so she was in high school. She spent a lot of time by herself. She didn't want to get involved in the wrong crowd that, she said. But while she was in high school, she suffered from bulimia, as I mentioned earlier. And she threw up her food every single night. And I think I don't know if she ended up getting better after that, or she just went to college and it was the exact opposite. She started partying a lot. She was eating in college a lot. And I guess all those issues with the bulimia and whatever happened at the end of her high school years. So she already had the scholarship to North Carolina. So that was never really in jeopardy. But when she got to college, she partied a little too much, she said. And, she ate a little too much, she said. And she was always one of the bigger girls, and not in a bad way. But she had a lot of muscle mass and whatnot. And the coach, I guess, was really harsh on her and told her, hey, why can't you go back to the way that you were in high school in terms of how she looked and how she ate and stuff like that. Obviously, the coach probably didn't know that she ate nothing in high school. So that was really rude. So at that point, she became really obsessed with food to the point where she had to be put on medication. And it's a real, I don't know, if disease or condition, whatever. I think disease might be the right word, but you know what I mean. So she got put on medication for that. and she tried to transfer to a different college to start over. And when she did, she stopped the medication, which is something you can't do. Because when you do that, as opposed to weaning off the medication, you just come crashing down all at once. And that's exactly what happened to her. And as a result, she got very, very depressed. And she realized that she didn't want to be here anymore. And she even made the comment in this chronicle, I did things, or I tried to ensure that I wasn't going to be here anymore. So she doesn't say the words suicidal or suicide, but she makes it sound like she attempted suicide. But whatever the case might be, it's not a great situation. It's a very bad situation to be in. And that's where she was. So that's really scary. So she ended up in a psychiatric hospital, and it was there that she was next to someone who was like screaming all night, and they were, just, I don't know if crazy is the right word, but, they were just whacked out of their mind. And she realized at that point, sitting next to that person in the hospital, that she realized that she had to go home. That was not her place. She did not belong there. So she talked to her parents while she was there and really opened up to them about her issues. And it was at that point when she felt like it was going to get better. It wasn't better at that point, but she knew after kind of confiding in them and whatnot that it will get better at some point, which it did. So they flash forward ahead to December of 2020 when this whole chronicle takes place. And she said, hey, if you told me a year ago that I would be on the main roster, honestly, I would believe you because I felt like I was ready for the main roster even then. So they show the footage of Triple H telling her that she was headed to the main roster back at TakeOver Portland. And we had not seen this footage at all prior to this point, I don't think. And we've seen a lot of 24s and stuff like that. I'm sure they saved it for this type of documentary. So Triple H informs her that she is main roster bound right after WrestleMania. And this is way back at TakeOver Portland. So she knew at that point she was heading up to the main roster. Not imminently, but like about a month and a half away. And that was the night of her big NXT Women's Championship match with Rhea Ripley. She knows that she works her ass off. She knows how big of a deal it is to be in the ring with Bayley. And, that match goes well. She loses, but she felt like she had a good match nonetheless. So she goes back a bit to talk about how she got to WWE, because after going forward a little bit to present day, she goes back a little bit and talks about how she got her performance skills from her dad. Her dad was in a band called the Belair Brothers. Her real name, I think, is Bianca Belair, as opposed to Bianca Belair. It's very, very similar. It's Bianca Belair. So he was in a band called the Belair Brothers, and, that's where she got her performance skills from. In terms of her athleticism, she had always obviously been very athletic, but she started doing CrossFit to kind of get her life back on track, be the person that she wanted to be, and not the person that people wanted her to be, other people wanted her to be. So she fell in love with CrossFit, started doing that, went viral at one of the competitions or something like that. Mark Henry catches wind of this, finds the clip online on her Instagram, and leaves a comment saying, hey, come on down to our camp. And her cousin, I guess, told, Bianca about this and was freaking out, I guess, because they're a wrestling fan or whatever, or knew who Mark Henry was. And Bianca's like, she thought it was a joke. She thought it was a joke, so she ignored it. And he ended up DMing her soon after and invited her to a WWE camp, to one of those tryout camps at the PC. So he told her at that point, I can't do anything else for you. I can't get you hired. I can't make them like you. I can't do anything but give you this opportunity. Now it's up to you to take this opportunity and make the most out of it, which is exactly what she did. She got, a very, a round of applause after doing her tryout. She was very impressive. But she knew at that point she didn't want to be happy about it and celebrate until she was standing in that performance center, which is exactly what happened. She got the call a little while later from Canyon Ceman telling her that she had been hired by WWE, which was cool. But it didn't really click for her, she said, until being in the first Mae Young Classic back in the summer of 2017. That was when she really fed off the crowd for the first time. And what people forget, she was very impressive in that tournament. But the thing is, I think she was only in one match. I don't think she made it to maybe she did, but I'm pretty sure she was in only one match in the opening. No, she wasn't. No. She definitely made it to the second or third round. Because they showed the clips of her facing Kairi Sane here. But that wasn't Kairi Sane's first round of the tournament. I know Kairi Sane faced Tessa Blanchard in her first match in the tournament and beat her. So if she's facing Kairi here, then Bianca was in at least one or two other matches before this one. Either way, she was really, really impressive. And, she cried afterward after that stellar showing. And then she talks about having a crush on Montez Ford from the moment she showed up in the PC. And I don't know if she knew at that point they would end up getting married, but she had a crush on him from the get-go. She told Vanessa Bourne about it, which is funny. And she's really happy that she gets to do something that she loves with someone she loves, which is awesome. She talks about the gear-making process and how she tries to make every attire that she wears specific to that night. And she shows off her Rumble 2020 attire when she, the attire she wore in last year's Women's Royal Rumble match, where she wasn't only just in it, she was in it for 30 minutes, and she got the most eliminations out of anyone, I'm pretty sure. So she talked about how she felt every minute of it. And she didn't find out about it until the night before. So I don't know if she made the gear that night or the next day. I don't know, but she made it pretty quickly. And how the chains, they were real chains on the gear. So she felt every bit of that, not only in the ring and being in the ring for 30 minutes, but walking down to the ring. And it didn't really bother her because she was feeding off the crowd. They were so loud and it was such an energy where it didn't bother her to be strolling down the ring and, to be strolling down to the ring wearing all these, chains and whatever, which I thought was funny. So anyway, she told her, she spoke here about how she knew it was time to prove herself. And despite the loss, she felt like she won that night. She shows off her action figure, which is cool. We see her getting praise after the recent WWE Women's Tag Team title match on SmackDown, which was back on the Christmas episode a few weeks ago, where she and Sasha faced Bayley and Carmella and the current champions Asuka and Charlotte. And she came up short, but she got praise from Vince afterward, who said, hey, you're the whole package, you're rolling right now, the athleticism, everything, you're killing it. Basically, just keep doing what you're doing, which is really high praise coming from Vince. So then she talks about how she wants to represent where she came from, fellow people of color, women, and it's a lot of pressure to do right by those people, do right by herself, do right by her supporters, her family, her friends, everyone. And she also wants to tell people through her work, and just flat out here, that she wants people to know that it's okay to be who you are and be comfortable in your own skin. And she also talks about how she wouldn't be where she is without her parents. They were always there for her, and she's really grateful, and she gets emotional talking about this, how she's really grateful that she gets to share all these moments with them now. And now her goal is to win the Royal Rumble this year. She had a great showing in 2020, but in 2021, it's not about just being in it. She's in it to win it. And the possibilities are endless, and, she knows what her potential is, and that waiting time, that time for waiting is now. She's waiting for that opportunity, and she's ready to break out when that opportunity presents itself. She knows that she is good at this. She knows that everyone else knows that she's good at this. And it's more a matter of not if, but when that opportunity will arrive. So this was a great chronicle, again, for the depression stuff, talking about her bulimia, everything from earlier on in her life and to everything now, her success in WWE, really inspiring to see. This would have been a great chronicle for the main roster stuff alone, but I thought it was really, really cool. We got that background on Belair that we had never seen before. Obviously, it doesn't really fit the personality and the persona of Bianca Belair, the on-screen persona Bianca. But I definitely think this type of stuff will help her endear herself to even more people than she already has. And I'm not saying, they absolutely have to talk about their issues, but I think it's really commendable that she would come out about this, and a lot of people wouldn't, and respectfully so, rightfully so, in certain cases. But, she decided, no, let's talk about this, let's open this thing up. I want to talk about my problems, because hopefully someone can watch this, relate to it, and know that things will get better. And they could see, myself and them or whatever. So, I thought the Chronicle was really, really well done, talking about her upcoming momentum heading into the Women's Royal Rumble match next Sunday. It was just a really well done documentary, so I implore everyone to check it out. It's only around 30 minutes long. These Chronicles aren't long, but it's a really great piece of business that I cannot recommend you enough to check out on the WWE Network. So thank you guys, as always, for checking out my reviews here on the channel, and specifically here on Network and Chill. You can check out more of my reviews of WWE Chronicle right here in the channel in the description box down below. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content, including tomorrow. We got a WandaVision Season 1, Episode 3 review with myself, Chris Mueller, and Phil Lindsay, which went great. We recorded that a few days ago. That goes up tomorrow, in addition to my review of the Pat Patterson documentary. I think it's called My Way.
My Life, My Way, or something along those lines. That was also uploaded today to the WWE Network. I got to watch that soon, and that review will also be up tomorrow. So, have a great one, guys. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. Enjoy the rest of your weekend/week, and I'll catch your ass down the road.